I must say, I really, really enjoyed all the speaker talks. They were very different, were catching hold of the crux of it. And I formally welcome all of them to this discussion. Personally, if you ask me, this session is particularly exciting for me, just not from the central theme of today's panel discussion, which is AI in pharma, but the stage of talent that we have on this panel today. We have been joined by a set of young professionals, researchers, early stage builders who are, I should say, actively shaping the fields at a very formative point in their careers. So it was really, really exciting to hear them out. And I genuinely believe, we have become fossils in the pharma industry. But most importantly, we have observed that the interesting ideas normally just not come from an established systems alone, but they do come from people who are close enough to the problem so that they see it very clearly and early enough in their journey to question it freely. And that's what exactly why I felt when we were hearing to all the speakers talk. So let me set up the context of today's conversation. Um, it is less about hierarchy and more about getting a perspective from each one of you, because who have tried to go away from the trodden path and make something different. So let me begin. Let me also say, AI is a buzzword today. I hear it day in and day out in the boardrooms. Everyone wants to talk about AI. Everyone wants to get associated with AI. But I think the panel really put open a very important question during each of their talks. The crux is that no one is doubting the importance of AI, but the real thing is the adoption of AI. And that's exactly is one of the questions which I want to start off this panel discussion. And I would request each one of the panelists to answer this question as we tackle this. How prepared is our industry today to place that trust on an algorithm driven systems over something which is time tested, traditional human dependent processes, and especially when our industry is so very regulated. So let me start off with I'm just making a point, the senior most level person. So if Dr. Preeti is here because she has seen it, done it, has already come to a commercialization stage part of it. So in my initial talk before the panel discussion, I could slightly get her views. So Dr. Preeti, over to you. Candidly, I want this a very candid talk over there. How prepared is our industry to actually adopt an AI?
In my opinion, things have been evolved a lot. 10 years back, 5 years back, and now we are at the stage where already different commercial AI applications are already there in the market. Even with respect to healthcare applications, different Google, Sanofi, and other companies are already there. Different already targets are there where clinical trials are going on, where they have already identified targets using AI. So now we are, you can say it's a toddler stage, you can say, where we have made some progress, but lots of other things are still hidden because the trials are going on, but we don't know that whether the trial will be successful or not. So there are lots of things that are happening. We are making progress day in, day out, but still lots of things are still hidden that only time can tell. Because many times what happens, it's a kind of rat race. Everybody is talking about AI. I am doing AI, even applications where AI is not at all required. People are talking about that we should use AI there. But I believe that the you can say high stakes, you can say segments like pharma, healthcare, biotech, and all, these are very responsible segments where human lives are at stake. So AI should be used very judicially, very responsibly, and ethics should be the first place. Data security, patient safety, patient consideration, patient confidentiality, all these things should be taken care. So this is my opinion that we are making progress. Commercial systems are there, but we should focus. We are ready. Means technology is there, so we are ready with the things. We can move lots of progress. But ultimately, like already different technology means if we talk about space, if we talk about medical devices and you can say robotic surgery and other aspects, there AI can very fantastically. But when we talk about drug discovery, when we talk about clinical trials, when we talk about target identifications, these are very, very not only patient centric, for the companies also, any wrong target can basically billion of dollars can go into vain. So in that scenario, responsible AI and other aspects to use the AI is very much important. We just can't use AI just because we have the technology and we can rely. So algorithm is everything. There should be some counter testing method that whatever feedback is given by AI, it is whether correct, it is appropriate. So there should be some manual testing process. Manual check should always be there because ultimately AI is getting feed from us. We are the real intelligence. So we should
Right.
rely, we should focus, we should trust on ourselves first. Whatever the system has already been established, it has already saved lots of lives. Already, pharma has a very established system, very established pharma manufacturing system, very established drug discovery, and other systems, and it is working. What we are expecting from AI is it should reduce the timeline. It should, you can say, save some money so that whatever drug discovery process taking 10 years, we can come down it to 2 years. But the ultimate, you can say our goal is whatever time we are reducing, it shouldn't be at the cost of human lives. So
I
that
said
is
you
my
made a very
opinion.
valid point, very valid point. In fact, I'm very tempted to go over to Dr. Akash on the same question. Where are we in terms of adoption of AI? Because you are dealing with something what even Dr. Preeti mentioned, like something to do with human life. Because when we are
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about counterfeit, we are talking about medicines which are fake medicines, and and the numbers which you mentioned in your presentations were very alarming. And we work very closely with the supply chain on the analytics part of it. But what is your experience and how have you seen the adoption of AI across the value chain, even if I say about the supply chain?
I think, ma'am, the industry is becoming interestingly AI-driven in anti-counterfeiting solution right now. But overall, the adoption readiness is still early and I would say mid-stage right now, especially in emerging India like emerging markets. Large pharma companies are exploring AI for supply chain visibility mainly, and packaging verification, serialization, and anomaly detection. Regulators are also pushing towards better traceability, and I think the digital systems there are presented there, and this creates a, strong long-term opportunity for AI-based counterfeit detection platforms like us. However, I think the challenges still exist because many manufacturers I have seen and the distributors operates on legacy systems, and data infrastructure is still fragmented, very fragmented, I would say. And awareness regarding this counterfeit, that people right now in tier 2, tier 3 cities, people are also not aware that medicines can be counterfeited. They are consuming it right now. As a doctor, I have seen it, and the awareness around the AI implementation remains very limited right now in Indian market and enterprise level players in India. So the adoption is likely, I think the adoption happens gradually and starting with high risk brands and premium medicines, export focused manufacturers and regulatory supply chains, I think. So we need time, I think. So gradually in next 3 to 4 years, I think we can do, because I have seen South African like countries, they are very much aware about counterfeits. In news, we have to spread awareness regarding the counterfeit medicines and all. So only after that we can adopt AI in counterfeit.
Sai, you work with no, because I did go through in saying what are you really working on. I heard you out
Yeah,
even now. So when you talk about agentic AI and all these sort of new technologies which are coming up over there,
yeah.
and at this stage part of it, Sai, are you really seeing the adoption? So same question, if I really put it across to you, how do you really see the adoption of AI from a very fresh perspective?
So, as the question you framed was very important, and the perspective of the agentic systems, as I think we are currently at an interesting transition point of AI. Like the first wave of AI was about prediction, then the next wave was about assistance, then the third wave was now where we are entering into agentic systems, and the next is general intelligence, where it is going to completely replace a human except the census. But this agency or agentic systems that can reason across multiple steps, coordinating actions and support decision making things like with minimal supervision. But are we seeing a full scale adoption today? Means no, we are not yet going to see that full scale adoption right now. But we're observing, like we're seeing the early adoption in the areas such as supply chain optimization, quality monitoring, quality control, compliance workflows, and operational intelligence. And from my perspective, the question is not whether agentic AI will be adopted or not, but the question will be like when a human oversight should be like remain, and whether autonomy can be in in the point of AI safety or not. Will this change any values? Will this create a new era of the values of the human perspective or not? Must be seen in future. So the organization that solves the balance, and that will be lead to the next decade. So it cannot be predictable, as the wave was shifting just in the phases of 6 to 8 months of the variation.
Hi, Naveli. You play a very important role, as I think Dr. Preeti also mentioned. Like, everything can be there from manufacturers to getting it to the market, as what Dr. Akash is doing, or where we are solving the problem. The question is the regulations. Now, in terms of the regulations, where do you really see the adoption of AI really going on a fast pace? Is it first and foremost, is there a mindset in using AI for regulation purpose, and where is it being used?
Right. So when we talk about the regulation of AI in the healthcare space, I think we are still not very forward looking towards it. Of course, the SAHI policy that has come out in February 2026 does encourage responsible AI, but again, it focuses more on how do I say this, health data rather than the clinical use of data, which is, of course, more of importance here. For example, there was talk of supply chain, right? There is
Right.
absolutely no guidance whatsoever from the regulatory authorities on if AI-enabled devices are adopted, by which AI is the sole decision maker, not the doctor, where AI is the sole decision maker. AI can do the diagnosis, it can provide the treatment. What happens then? AI is ever evolving, it learns on its own. What if one day it was to go beyond what it was taught initially and give diagnosis or treatment suggestions for which it was not approved? Who will be at fault for that? The developer, the doctor, or the manufacturer? These questions remain largely deeply unanswered, which is why I think, in terms of the regulatory space, these questions are not answered, which is why the entry of AI devices that can perform on its own as a standalone device without doctor intervention is not possible, especially in India.
Interesting, interesting. So I'll just come back to Dr. Akash on this.
Hmm.
Uh, because you are at an intersection, you're at the
Hmm.
intersection where you're using the AI and you are also talking about medicines
Yeah.
somewhere over there.
Right.
But most of the things, Dr. Akash, when it comes up, even when you're talking about the technologies where the use of AI is there, it is looks very reactive rather than
Yeah.
something which you are doing in advance. Everything
Hmm.
is like more of a postmortem in saying
Hmm.
after the
Yeah.
person is dead,
Postmortem.
you're
Yeah.
trying to figure it out whether it is good. So,
Yeah.
what is it something which your technology, or what is your vision or direction in which such things don't happen? So, we are doing something on the preventive side rather than something which we are doing on the reactive side. So, where is AI really going to help you out over there?
No, I think, ma'am, first of all, we have to train our data in AI. I think the challenges, major challenges that I have faced, that the data training, because we have very fragmented data. And can I share my screen?
Yes, as Naveli mentioned, like fully AI powered device is difficult to regulate actually, and I also basically agree with that because
And
excess of everything is bad. So if there is something that is totally without any human intervention, then definitely ultimately it's a machine. So anytime it may create any kind of havoc. So what I believe, AI should be used as an enabler, means whatever, because human brain, human you can say we have limitations. We get tired. We have other limitations that machine doesn't have, and machine has its own limitation because ultimately it is getting feed from us. So it could be a kind of symbiotic relationship where we are, our medical facility, medical fraternity is getting more enabled. They are having more data. They are more getting. They have the ability of better decision making that is supported by AI. but not solely they are relying on AI. It shouldn't be the reverse thing. Doctor shouldn't rely on AI feed. Doctor should have the feedback from the AI, but ultimate decision should be of doctors, because human brain, human capacity is still superior. You can see that in our human brain there may be 100 trillion connections, and if AI model advanced, it will work on 1 trillion connections. So definitely you can see that the complexity that our brain is having, our intelligence is having far better than any AI engine. The only
No
thing is,
wonder it is called. No wonder it is
yes,
being called as artificial
yes,
intelligence. It's still
yes,
not there to match the
yes.
human
That's
intelligence.
what actually. So
Yeah,
AI should be the enabler,
sure.
and when
I think
we
the
are
word is
using,
enabler. Yeah,
yes,
Dr. Akash, you wanted to show
Yeah,
us something.
is my screen
Yeah,
visible?
it is. It is. It
Yeah.
is.
So this is the original drug and this is the fake drug. So my point of view is that AI will decide what is counterfeit and what is real. And we should have the manual that the Dr. Preeti Nigam Joshi said, that we humans should decide that what is right and what is wrong. AI should be the decision maker, not us. And that's why we can proceed further. Because yeah.
No, no, sure. But the point is right. I think both of you are really complimenting each other and saying that, yes, finally it is a human intelligence which will decide the rules of the game. And
Yeah.
game.
ultimately, the
True.
rules were going to be based on what we have actually experienced, and the machine has to just follow it. Then
Yeah.
it is the question of competition which has to really work it out. So, Sai, just to bring you into the picture, because you come up with all these respect, because you're also working on in regards to I think supply chain is something which is interesting to you as well as what Dr. Akash is also having it. But still, my question remains in saying that are we all designing systems which are much more prospective, too much talking about it will solve everything, and it is not preventive in nature? Because finally, it is as to just add on to even what Dr. Preeti said, artificial intelligence is based on data. So your AI is going to as good as what the data underneath is.
Yeah.
So are we there in terms of the data side of it?
Actually, the distinction is very crucial and very critical stage. But I have, for the long time, like such as much of AI is focused on prediction and visibility. But we build the systems that tells us what happens or what might be happen. But the next evolution is prevention. So in pharmaceutical environments, like success is not measured like how accurately are we detecting the failure or is it occurring, but success is measuring by whether the failure happens at all or not in the minute stage, right? So that's one of the reason I am interested in trustworthy and autonomous systems. So like the goal is not just simply to generate insight, but the goal is to create a system that continuously validate the condition and that identify the risks early before it achieves and support intervention before the compliance issues and like quality deviation, and like we can identify the quality as just Dr. Akash shown us how we can identify what exactly the quality and original product is. So all these deviations may be happen just because of supply chain, because there is one disruption occurred in around 2013 to 2019 where the fake medicines were manufactured and supplied legally in the medical stores, but no one
Yes.
identified at that time, and that is the reason we lost almost like so many people. More than 30% of Indians were suffered with various diseases. So now we got this AI. Let's make it into a era of trustworthy, and the system may take the autonomous decisions and just give its view. Then the human view will be the final decision, but let it give its own view on that perspective. So ultimately, the highest form of the intelligence is not prediction, but it's all about the prevention before the error occurs.
So there is a lot being talked about in terms of the compliances and all these things, because from what it was earlier on to validation, now it has come over to assurance. And that's what I got to know. It is computer system assurance. Then you are having all these things which are being imbibed in the compliance side of it. So is it something which is moving very fast on that particular space, or the other sectors or the value chain are also happening?
What exactly you want to know basically with respect to regulation and pharma?
Is AI being is AI a step ahead in terms of the compliance side of the adoption rather than the others in terms of manufacturing and the clinical trials and all that stuff?
So basically, what my understanding is, this regulatory aspect, considering new systems that are coming with respect to AI, is still struggling because
Okay.
regulatory itself is a very complex domain. Even for the routine systems that are, you can say, that are not already reported, predicate devices are not there. So they have to take a long pathway, even without AI. So when we talk about AI enabled system, or you can say solely AI based systems, then there are definitely lots of hurdles are there. Regulators are not clear, though we have medical devices rule and all, but as Naveli mentioned,
Yeah,
AI
it's too
systems
early.
are, yes, AI systems are rapidly evolving. In our
Yeah.
current regulatory pathway, what happens when a regulator provide you permission? I mean, suppose I have got the regulatory approvals, so I have to provide them the specification that this is the sensitivity specificity of my device, this is the dimensions, this is what my device can do. So those specifications are kind of locked there. So any deviation, anything that I am doing and making any changes, I again have to take regulatory approvals. Okay,
Approvals.
now which kind these kind of changes I have made in my device. So these modifications are there, and then I have to again report it to the CDSC, the regulatory
Right.
body. But with AI, what we will do today? It's basically we are training our models. So today we have given different feed. Yesterday, tomorrow it will have some another feed. It will provide the feed. It will provide you the output in a different manner. So ultimately, how we will regulate AI system that is rapidly evolving. आपको याद है बचपन में एक हम लोग कविता पढ़ते थे, चंदा मामा सिलवा दो माँ मुझे उनका मोटा एक झिंगोला। तो मिस चंदा मामा अपनी मदर से बोलते हैं कि मेरे लिए कपड़े बना दो, मुझे ठंड लगती है। तो चंदा मामा बोलती, तो उनकी मदर बोलती है, मैं आपको सार बता रही हूँ, कि आपका साइज तो कभी छोटा है कभी बड़ा होता जाता है, मैं कैसे आपके साइज के कपड़े बनाऊं। एक प्राइमरी स्कूल की पोयम थी। तो एआई वैसे ही है, because AI is evolving very rapidly. So for regulatory perspective, it's a difficult phase actually.
Yes.
And
Okay.
devices can be regulated. But if and AI is providing, you can say some decision making aspect, then of course there is a difficulty. You have
Sure.
to go for lots of trials and everything that is required. And it is utmost needed also because ultimately medical device, as I mentioned, is related with human lives. So
Sure.
regulators can't take any chance.
So, over to anyone in the panel who can answer to me, because I always feel, and we have always seen that AI is very good in pilot scale. When it comes up to pilots, they are extremely successful. The real challenge comes up in terms of scalability. So, whether we are really taking it up to the level, and that's where there are a lot of things which come into the picture, and most of the failures are seen over there. So, Dr. Akash, Sai, anyone, I'm keeping it open for everyone because all of you have gone through this entire journey. So, is it still the truth? It is very successful at the pilots, but scalability, we are still not there.
Yeah, it is actually true. I think AI struggle to move from pilot to scale because most organization underestimates the gap between working demo and a business critical system. I think the pilot phase is usually controlled by data is clean, and the stakeholders are enthusiastic very much, and that is why the most of the pilots are failing to scale in a large manner in this pharmaceutical sector. So not only pharmaceutical, I think the entire healthcare system, every pilot is failing, I think, because the data structure is poor. That is my honest answer. The data
Sure,
structure
sure.
is very
Thanks.
poor.
Yeah.
The data structure
Anyone
is
wants to add
poor
on this particular point?
and clear and lack of clear ROI, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
like adding towards Akash, and I think it's very fair observation. Like historically, many AI initiatives have been successful at the pilot stage, but struggled during the large-scale deployments. However, I don't believe that scalability is a fundamental of technology problem anymore, but increasing its integrity, governance, and the trust problem may be the point. But most organizations can build a model that works in a controlled environment, but the real challenge is integrating the model that like regulated workflows or the existing infrastructure, compliance requirements, and human decision making processes. So in my view, AI doesn't fall at scale because the algorithm stop working, but it often fail because organizations underestimate the operational transformations which are required around the algorithm. So the company that treats AI as an enterprise capability rather than a pilot project, then that will be like one of the successful scale of its part. But yeah, the challenge is no longer providing that like AI works, but the challenge is about providing the organizations and that are ready to work with AI.
Yes, AI is here to stay. AI is evolving everywhere. But if I have to ask to each one of you, which is that low-hanging fruit where AI can make very fast inroads, put it up into a scalable enterprise model, and where that opportunity really exists? So, again,
I
putting it open to each one of you. So, where do you
I
see that
think
low-hanging fruit?
I think we have to lose some regulatory and compliance challenges, because industries like pharma face strict validation requirement, I think now, and AI systems must be explainable, audible, and compliant with regulators, especially, and that is the hanging fruit now. Because in my case, I have to face many questions that you have detected counterfeit, but do you have checked the drug quality and all? So these questions are ridiculous right now. So that is why we have to fix it in terms of AI in pharma or healthcare, whatever.
Sure. Where is the next easy opportunity where AI can be implemented? Anyone else? Sai, Dr. Joshi, anyone?
Like
Any additions?
this can be mainly focused on like the agentic system will be very helpful in image processing of the x-rays and medical image processings, but that may take time in the Indian ecosystem because we don't have our own domestic data sets, our own domestic information regarding the Indian patients. We are trying to get the information from Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, but there is an issue for getting the data sets data from the hospitals. So as soon as we'll get our own data sets, then that would be very efficient systems where we can build more on image processing for like healthcare systems. That would be the next best thing.
Which is that opportunity which India should grab on to really build up AI into our value chain?
Okay, so basically, in pharma sector, in my opinion, the low-hanging fruit, as you mentioning, so basically the low-hanging fruits will be with respect to clinical trials, because AI can make any process very efficient. So clinical trial processes, it can make very efficient. So that is a low-hanging fruit where AI can be adapted very quickly. Other is a pharmacovigilance, because in that area already data is available. So that area
Right,
can,
right.
can yes. So that area we can, AI adoption is very fast that we can move ahead. And other thing is the quality process, quality aspects, and manufacturing. So where there is a process involved, we can definitely use AI to make it more efficient. So in my opinion, these three fields, they are the low-hanging fruit where pharma can quickly adapt AI and make it more precision, less cost consuming. And of course, as during the pilot thing, pilot basically just provides us the possibility. But when we
Right.
talk about scalability, it should create value. And for that, any organization should be ready to grasp, to adapt for this kind of value, because lots of infrastructural changes, governance changes, the mindset changes that required when we want scalability in pharma sector with respect to AI.
Sure, sure. In fact, Dr. Akash or Sai very briefly touched upon the word ROI, because when we are also working in analytics and where we are putting it up, I think there are two things which come up very strongly. One is that what is the return on investment? If I'm making this change, what is it in terms of the return on investment? And what you just checked, are we there in terms of the mindset? Are we still there to trust the algorithm driven decisions
Yeah,
as
so
compared to what a human driven decision is? And that is where the two other elements which really play a very important role. Although let me say this has been one of a very very thought provoking discussion. Thought provoking because for me all these areas, though I'm a pharmacist myself, but all these areas are something which I got to know more about. And thanks for really sharing your candid views, which I was expecting. That's the beauty of having a young panel. They really don't mince with words. So the thing is that thanks every one of you to really put across your views. And I'm very sure that this panel discussion has left with us with a huge food for thought, how we can really take it up to the next level, because your AI is here to stay. There is no doubt about it. It's going to be each one of us who are going to play that role in fast forwarding this AI in our regular life. And I'm very sure each one of us will be doing that.